it's really cool. We got like a 3,500 meter straightaway. Our top speed's between 170, 173 on our super bike right now. It's a very, very demanding track. It's probably one of the most rider demanding tracks that exist. It's got a mixture of everything. It's very fast, very flowy, but also very slow and very, very like brake strategy orientated. So this track, some people might understand this, it doesn't matter, but at this track, I'm pulling like between 15 to 16 bar of pressure on my brake pressure, which is a lot for a track. We're also gonna go out, getting ready for the money race. I just put on new tires, so we got the Pirelli, brand new Pirellis, because I am a Pirelli rider. So I don't know where it says. So I'm going out with an SC0. These are the new 200 sizes, so it's a 265 rear, and I'm running the 125 70/17 front. The front tire is a 125 front, and yeah, we're gonna try some different tire pressures. This track's a little weird. It likes soft tires with no tire pressure, and it likes big, likes medium compound tires with a lot of pressure. So it's kind of funky. So we're gonna try going something. We just got done with race 1. It's been about an hour, so got to unwind and decompress and pull some data, and I made some changes. I was having problems with my front end. I can't fast corners. I can't get the front end to turn on the edge of the tire. So what I did is I softened the front end a little bit, so that way the front end's riding lower in the stroke to finish a corner in the middle of the corner. So did that. We've dropped a tooth on the rear sprocket also, so to get a little more wheelbase out of it. And yeah, I also put brand new brake pads because, man, this track is just gnarly. With my 16 bar of pressure of brakes, we're seeing 700 degrees of temperature, and it's warping the brake pads. So when it starts to warp the brake pads, they're trash at that point. So I've gone through 3 sets of brake pads for both calipers this weekend. So I'm running the SBS DS1 and DS2 combination brake pad. I love the brake pad. It's just Kawasaki, Suzuki, and Ducati all use the same brake pad. It's the DS 901 pad, and it's got the thickest backing plate of all the other pads, and it's the backing plate that warps. So once they warp, the wheel stops spinning freely, and the brakes just never get a chance to fully cool down. So, and then because they're not cooling down, you get more brake fade. So the only fix to that is to keep straight pads, which are new pads in it. Like I tried bending them straight once, and it worked for 1 session, and you can only bend them once or they crack in the middle, and we're not gonna have that. So as far as everything, it's been a pretty stress-free weekend. Yeah, we're gonna do good. I think I qualified. I did a pretty bad qualifying. I qualified 8th. I qualified on this tire. And as you can tell, this thing is shredded, shredded apart. And I went out with, this is also an SC0, but I went out thinking that because it's a softer tire, I needed to keep the same pressure as I did on the harder tire. And it just never got the temperature, and I just tore it apart. So now we're gonna go out and apply what we learned, and we're gonna lower the pressure a few pounds and see if we can get a little more traction. The tire that I actually raced on is right here, and this is a SC2, and you can see we got some tear dropping right here. And this is normally if I'm running a little too much rebound, but I'm leaving it alone because this track's so hard in the S's that I need the rear end to stay settled. So I'm not too worried. I'm not one of those people that believes that you can ride. You can read a tire and make suspension adjustments. Like, you know, we're talking 1 to 2 clicks of adjustment max. So this tire has a full day of practice on it on Saturday, and then we did practice in the morning on Sunday, and then we did 1 race. So this tire's gone for the most part, and it was a really good tire. So if you ever come to Podium Club and you want to get something that'll last you probably 2 days, the SC2, wonderful tire. And again, this is the 265 right there. So this is what I run on my Gixxer Thou. So yeah, it's a pretty fun track. It's very fast. One of the main muscle groups that you need to focus on this bike is a lot of legs, because you have to transfer side to side. Upper body strength on this track is very important, because you also have to be able to turn the handlebars as hard as you can. Like, that's the trick to getting through the S's. It's a weird combination of flow, because you have to be able to flow, but you also got to be able to twist the throttle. And like, that's like my specialty. I feel like it are my drives. That's like one of my strong points. So right now I made a change because I want a little more edge grip, so I can carry more roll speed through the middle of the corners, and I want that to transfer over to my drive, so that way, you know, we can drop some major time. I haven't put down like a super fast time. Like, I'm about 1.5 seconds off the fastest lap time right now, but I did do that on a very, very old SC2 medium compound tire. So now I'm going out with the money tire, and we're letting this thing bake at 180 degrees for about an hour and a half. You know, an hour is good, but an hour and a half is really what you want to see. I'm at 2 hours, so whatever. It's a little hot. That's fine. Yeah, we're running a long wheelbase. The Gixxer 1000s like to be long. Gearing wise for this track, I got a 16 tooth front sprocket, and I got a 46 tooth rear sprocket. You know, you can probably get away with a stock front and a different rear, but there's a term called anti-squat, and with this number and where I have my shock, the anti-squat is exactly pretty much right where I want it. So I'm not gonna mess with it, and this is the longest wheelbase that I can get. And yeah, I have my front end's very, very high compared to most people on a Gixxer 1000, because my forks are extended. Like, I think I'm running my forks 15 millimeters longer than what they are stock. So they're very high. So I have a lot of stability under the brakes. And then again, the bike's very fast. So we're gonna see if we can put it together. One of the mods that I did for this round is I switched the clutch. I went to an aftermarket clutch. It's a Suitor clutch. It does require you to know what you're doing with clutch plates. I mean, it is very, very important that you know your stacking depth, and you keep an eye on your clutch constantly. It's not a clutch that I would suggest any track day or any amateur or any expert racer to buy. This is a professional only clutch, because it's fully adjustable. And one thing about a fully adjustable clutch is it's constantly slipping, and a constantly slipping clutch is a constantly going bad clutch. So we did a practice day on it yesterday. I pulled it apart, and it actually wore out quite a bit. Like, if we were to say you have 1 millimeter of life, and in one practice, I used 80% of my life. So 0.08 millimeters is not a lot. I actually said that wrong. It wasn't 1 millimeter of life. I have 0.1 millimeter, 0.2 millimeters of gap, and I used 0.12 of the life. So that's like 60% of my life gone in a track day. So I had to pull it apart, and I had to change a plate to get that exact gap that I needed. So it's really cool, but again, do not buy one unless you know what you're doing, or you're gonna hate yourself, and it's not worth it. It's an amazing clutch, but it's not something that you want to mess with. As far as that, I did change the master cylinder. Also, I got a bad batch of oil from somebody, and I had a brand new master cylinder, and it ate the seal. So anytime that I would pump my master cylinder, if I pumped it fast, it would start sending fluid up the reservoir. So we switched it to a brand new master cylinder. Also, just dealing with brake problems. I mean, as a semi-pro, pro rider, this is stuff that we all, have to put up with. And yeah, so list of things, before you go out for a race, just do a simple checklist. One, make sure your bike is warm. Man, I have seen so many idiots go out for their race and their bikes are completely cold. I mean, that's the worst thing that you can do. Two, you need to be ready. So we're gonna stretch, we're gonna loosen up, and we're gonna hydrate. And don't just hydrate with water. I know it sounds funky, but get a Pedialyte, get some electrolytes in you. That's super important. Electrolytes are just as important, if not more important than water. I suggest the Pedialyte, So I drink a Pedialyte in the morning, I drink a Pedialyte in the afternoon, and then I drink a Pedialyte before I go to bed. And I start introducing a massive amounts of electrolytes in my body 3 days before the race. So if we're racing Sunday, we're getting our electrolytes in on Friday, and we're continuing the regimen. Focus, drink water, eat. I see a lot of people, they don't eat, and I just laugh because you need fuel. You have to be strong. Eat. You are the most important piece of your motorcycle. So if you're not set up, then your setup motorcycle is not going to ride itself. So, that's an important one. So checklist. I do fuel. Fuel is something I always, that's the most important thing. So fuel, and then always check your safety gear. You know what I mean? You want to get your boots on, you want to get your back protector, leathers on, zipped, double check, make sure everything's zipped. And then right before you want to go out, you also want to keep an eye on your tire warmers. Your tire warmers you need to make sure that they're working and they're hot. There's times where when you have tire warmers and you pull them off, they're sometimes half the tire warmers are broken and only half your tire is actually warm, and I've seen some nasty accidents because of that. So, keep your tire warmers fresh. I actually swap out my tire warmers every 2 years. That's a good habit. Most track day riders, 2 years, it seems like a lot to them. But when you're trying to race, you buy a set of tire warmers for $400, you can sell them for $200. So you're losing $200, but you're gaining so much confidence knowing that they're new. Any future problems, that's an important thing. You want to really make a scheduled thing in your program. So I have a whole breakdown of my bike. So I check my fuel, I check my clutch, I check my brake pads. Every time I change my brake pads, anytime I change my wheel, I actually open my bleeder on my caliper and I push the pads out to get the old oil behind the caliper out, and so that keeps fresh oil in your caliper. That's a really good thing to do. What's another thing? You know, once you start measuring, you measure your pads when they're new. You know, measure your backing plate. So if the pad is 8 millimeters and your backing plate's 5, then you have 3 millimeters of pad. So once you have 3 millimeters of pad, then you can know, okay, so I just experienced brake fade and I had 1.2 millimeters left. Well, now you know that around 1.5 millimeters of pad where it worn out, it'll be time for you to change. And like, those are little things that will save your race program indefinitely. And I write everything down. You know, after this weekend, I write everything down, I take notes, and I know exactly what to do, you know. So everything has a maintenance life, everything, even my chain, you know. My chain is, most people hate me for this, but me, I don't believe in lubing my chain. The reason I don't believe in lubing my chain is, by the time it's stretched, you know, it needs to be replaced. So you can lube it, cool, but it needs to be thrown away by the time you need to lube it. You know what I mean? If you're trying to make your race program elevated to the next level, you know what I mean? One of the ways that I check my chain stretch is I run a tape measure to the center of my swing arm pivot, and then I run a tape measure to the center of my rear axle pivot. So on this bike, I want to say right now it's something like 630 millimeters. When I see 5 millimeters of stretch, that chain is in the trash. So for me, it's about every, it's in a half a season, you know what I mean? And I put about 100 to 200 miles on the bike a weekend. So yeah, these chains they're only seeing not even 1,000 miles, you know. So like I said, I have a full regiment, whether it be oil, whether it be clutch, whether it be, you know, suspension. That's another thing that we'll get into. Suspension, oh my God, suspension. That's more important than everything we already just talked about. This suspension needs to be, you need to rebuild your suspension at least 2 rounds. Front suspension, 2 rounds. That's all I suggest doing. So 2 rounds, you want to take it apart, send it to somebody, have it's called a pump and dump, essentially. Turn the fork upside down, let all the oil drain out, pour new stuff in, and put it back together. You don't have to do too much cleaning at that point. It's easy. It's something that you can do at home if you want to do it. We'll probably, at some point, we're going to do some videos, and we'll offer like a tool package for you guys, and you'll be fine. Like, this stuff is something that you should be, and 100% after watching a video, you will be capable of maintaining your suspension when we're done. So, like I said, 2 rounds. You want to change your fork fluid, you know, and keep an eye on your bushings and that kind of stuff. It's really easy. It really is easy. So keep an eye on it. The fluid, it disintegrates with the heat, and it disintegrates because of the aluminum. You know, whether, it doesn't matter what suspension you're running. I run K-Tech suspension. I love K-Tech suspension. The people at K-Tech are amazing. I'm a distributor of K-Tech, so if you're interested in getting K-Tech, I can order it for you fully set up, however you want. Any riding style, any bike that's available. I mean, everything available. K-Tech is, for me, the highest level of suspension you can buy. They offer off-the-shelf better suspension than everybody else I've seen. And it also doesn't need to be refreshed quite as much as some of the other brands. And that is why I support that product. I support a product that supports the people. So that's one of the things that I like. Yeah, so the oil heats up from the aluminum, and the aluminum basically destroys, the aluminum's like acid to the oil, if that's the best way I could describe it. It just, you know, it pulls mineral out of the oil, and then the oil just turns into water. And then all that sediment sucks down to the bottom of your fork, and it looks like something bad. I call the one in the shorts. Yeah, so simple things. We'll get into detail as the season goes. Like I said, we're at round 1. We'll try and get some videos of you guys, like, you know, when we're cleaning up, the maintenance, washing. That's another thing. Man, track day guys, you guys are disgusting. Wash your fucking bikes. Excuse my language, but wash them. Man, I have seen the nastiest bikes at a track day, and you guys should be disgusted. Wash your fucking bikes. They work so much better when they're clean. You know, like you shower, right? Like you feel good after you shower. These things feel the same way. So wash them. Everything's so much nicer when you work on your bike, and it's like, you know, look at this. I don't care. It doesn't do anything. This is after 2 days of riding. I can touch anything on my bike because this thing came here clean. So wash your bikes. It's part of the maintenance regimen, you know. Keep them clean, wash them, and, you know, if you guys are interested, we can share like a note system that we do, and we'll do a how-to and keep everything so awesome for you guys. Like I said, if you're really interested in track days, this might help you, but if you're interested in racing, you're gonna love these videos, because yeah, this is something that you're not gonna find anywhere, and you spend most amateur racers are gonna spend 1 to 2 seasons learning how to do everything wrong, and then they do everything right. They stop crashing, and we need to stop that trend. We're gonna put this knowledge out there, and we're gonna give you guys the tools, give you guys everything, the confidence, like the know-how that you need to maintain your bike, and also as a rider, we're gonna break down some stuff so you have the confidence of like, okay, I wanna do a track day, this is what I need to do, this is how I'm gonna attack it, and this is what I need to be prepared.